Hey guys, welcome back. Maya Rigging 101 part 3. So last time we did the forearm twist and before that we did the leg. Today we're gonna take a different approach to rigging because we're gonna rig the spine and we're also gonna finalize it ish, which means that we're gonna turn the rig into one rig instead of several parts. So we're gonna parent everything together and add control switch so we can actually start moving the entire rig around. Which is really fun because then you actually get the idea that you're almost done with the rig. It's not that difficult. Well, nothing is that difficult today, in my opinion at least. But there are a couple of tricks that you need to know. So the spine is a little bit different than any other part in the body itself, in the human body, because it can twist and turn, which means that, for example, it can rotate forward, backwards, but also left and right. And while it's turning, or for example when you bend over to the left, the spine creates this very nice arc, which is a little bit different to actually get into Maya, into any rig as well. So I'm going to show that. It's a trick that you need to know. Once you know it, you're like, oh, it's not that difficult, but it's something you just need to know. If you have time left, we'll also start working on the fleshy eyes rig, which is really fun. It brings your character to life. So let's just see how far we can go. So the rig itself, I've changed a couple of things, mostly in the spine itself, because my neck was here, all the way up here, which looks really painful, because then it means that when you start bending the neck, you actually break the character's neck, causing him to die, which sounds like a very bad idea. So I moved it a little bit down towards here, just above the shoulder, and there was a joint here in the middle which I deleted, same as we did with the forearm, where it's just unparented, deleted, and then add a new child in between. So just child parent and hit P on the keyboard. So it's not that fancy, it's not that, it's really simple. And if you don't know, just watch the last video of it. So the spine can be rigged by creating a spline IK system, it's what it's called. Which means that the joints in the spine will be controlled by a spline or a curve that controls the movement of it. It sounds very complicated, but it's not. It's actually quite simple. It's one of the easiest setups there are, so don't be afraid. So the first thing we need to do, well, as the name says, it actually uses a spline, right? You can also check it by going under the skeleton and then create IK spline handle. This is a good and a bad thing. If you're lucky, this will work perfectly for you and you don't have to do anything. But if you have something like a weird character with like a humpback or something that's just weird, something not standard, this might not work perfectly. So I'm going to show you how to do it manually, which is not that difficult at all. It's just a little bit more work. So I'm going to grab my spine, and hit Shift I, which means it's isolated. So the first thing we need to do is create a curve that will run through the entire spine that we can use to control the joints in it. So I'm going to go to my right view or left view, doesn't matter which one. And then we're going to create a curve. In Maya it's called a CV curve. It's short for control vertex curve, which can be found under create and then curve tools. And then the CV curve tool. Make sure to check the options. By default it's set to 3 cubic, which means that it tries to create a very smooth curve. Well, we don't need it. I mean, it's just there. We just want it to control or drive the joints, and that's it. So it doesn't have to look pretty at all. We just want it to be there. So I'm going to set it to linear. Then I'm going to zoom in, and while holding V on my keyboard, I'm going to start creating my curve. So on every joint here, there, this one, I'm going to end it at my neck, right there. So that leaves us with this. This will be our curve that controls the joints. Okay, so now we need to actually make it work, and you can do it by again going to skeleton, create IK spline handle, but this time check the options. So by default the auto parent curve, auto create curve, auto simplify curve are turned on. Well, since we've made our own curve, we can turn this one off, and we also want to turn off auto parent curve because we want to do it manually. But I am going to turn on the root twist mode, and I'm going to set the twist type to ease in, ease out, which means it's a little bit more animation friendly. That's pretty much it. It just looks a bit more pretty when you actually start twisting the spine itself. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my pelvis, then my neck, and then I'm gonna zoom in and click on my curve that we just made, this one. And then you get this standard line that you've seen before, and it actually creates the IK handle. But the cool thing is that you can't actually do anything with this handle. You can't actually move it. You can see here when I press the move tool, it doesn't do anything. Same goes for the rotate or scale, whatever. You can't actually do anything with it. So I'm gonna name a couple of things, rename some stuff. So the curve handle here, I'm gonna call this CV spine or curve control vertex spine. And the IK handle, let's call this IK spine. There you go. So, okay, how does this work then? Well, when we freeze our rig here for a second, you can actually go to control vertex and then you can start moving them and you can actually see what happens. So the control vertices are controlling the actual spine itself, the joints itself, as you can see. It's a very cool system. And it's pretty much the default system for any spine. But the question is now, how do you control the actual movement of the spine? I mean, you can force an animator guy to actually go in each time and look for the curve and then go to control vertex and then click and move them. So we need to add controls to them, so we can actually move things around. In order to do that, we need to do a little bit different than we've done so far. So I'm gonna go and click on show and then hide my joints and hide my IK handles. So we just have the spine left, the spline left. I'm gonna go right click on it and control vertex. I'm gonna grab my bottom two of them and I'm gonna go to deform and hit on cluster. A cluster is a sort of a group, but a little bit differently, because a cluster can also control vertices and faces on an actual mesh, for example. So it's actually really powerful. It's really cool. Once you know this, you'll use it a lot in any rig. You can also use it, for example, for a facial animation system. You can use it. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Again, deform cluster. Same here again. Deform cluster. Same here again. Cluster and one more. Deform cluster. So we have 6 of them. Except for the bottom 2, because we combine them. Because you can't actually bend around that area. That would look really painful. You can even do these 2 as well. Combine these 2 as well if you want to. Because this is the part of the rib cage. Actually, let's do that. Let's undo this last cluster there. So let's do both of them. Because this is the part of the rib cage and the shoulder blades, and they don't bend, luckily. So that'll be really painful. So at least us with 5 of them that we can use. So let's show our joints again and our IK handles. Now we grab a cluster here, for example. This cluster here, you can actually move them around. Just a cluster. Just want to have the cluster. It's really annoying sometimes. There it is. Then you see that the cluster is now controlling the curve, which is controlling the joints. And now we can actually start making the actual controls that control the clusters, that control the curve, that control the joints. But we're going to make custom clusters or custom controllers. So I'm going to zoom in on my grid for a second, and again control create curve tool, CV curve, make sure that it's set to linear again. It is. Oh. And I'm gonna turn on my snap to grid. I'm gonna draw a simple cube, a simple square on my grid with a nice tail behind it, like this, like so. Then control vertex, this one, this one, this one, the outer ones, and scale them down to create a nice star effect. There you go. Okay, and we're gonna use this to actually control the clusters again. So I'm gonna go to modify freeze center pivot, so it's in the middle, and again I'm gonna move the pivot towards the outer edges here, so we can actually use this point here to control it. I'm gonna rotate on Z-axis for minus 90, so it's like this, so it's facing towards the side. It just looks better, right? So okay, let's move it towards the joint, towards the pelvis, but first turn off snap to grid again, otherwise it's gonna jump all over the place. Like so, and then again hold V on your keyboard to snap the point and just center it around the joint. Let's rename it to control spine 1. There you go. And freeze transformations. There you go. Okay. So next up is going to duplicate it and move it up. You don't want to have it here because this control vertex is combined with this one over here. So we're going to move this one up to the next cluster, which will be here. So and the name changes by itself, so that's good. So again, copy paste it, duplicate it, one more, and one more. I'm gonna put this all the way up top or here. I'm gonna do it here, like that. Okay, let's grab them all and hit freeze transformations. There we go. Maybe let's use this one here. Let's move this one. I'm not sure if this is gonna work though. Well, let's just find out. Let's find out. I probably not. No, let's move this one down here. Yeah, it's safer like that. Okay. Again, freeze transformations. Okay. Then I'm gonna parent everything together. So I'm gonna first select my child, then parent. P. 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 So this one now controls everything. And when I select them all and you get this rotation, you get this really nice, as you can see here, really nice curvature in the back, which is perfect. So, okay. So now we need to be able to control the clusters with the controllers. So I'm going to go to my outliner here for a second. I'm going to unfold my spine control group. And I'm going to grab my cluster here, cluster 1. I'm going to drag it under the control spine 1 by holding mouse 3 or middle mouse button. Then it becomes a parent or child of it, and then you can see when you start rotating it, it actually rotates. So again, it's cluster 2 handle under the control spine, 3 under 3, 4 under 4, and last but not least under 5. There you go. So now when we rotate this one, the entire spine should rotate, and it does just that. When you grab them all, you get this really nice bending of the spine, as you can see. Perfect. Also, when you do it like this, for example, like this angle, you actually see you get this really nice curvature in there, which is perfect, which is exactly what we want to have. So there you go. But when I rotate now like this, for example, we actually don't have a spine twist. You can see here it starts doing some really weird stuff because you can't rotate it. When you now just grab this one and rotate it, you just rotate this one over here, which is not what we want, right? We want actual twist. So it has one, but it's under the attribute edit or channel box, and you can actually twist it. You can see it here. So this doesn't work. So what we need to do is we need to hook up the IK twist to this controller. So it's something we've done before. So I'm going to go to my node editor again. I'm going to clear it. I'm going to add the IK control spine and then the twist or the IK handle. I'm going to add it and then rotate. I think it's Y, top of my head, probably. It is, so I'm going to rotate Y to my twist. Now when I rotate, you just can see it actually does it. But you can also see it's not perfect. So what we've done, it doesn't work that well because the cluster here doesn't perform as we kind of hope it to be. So we can add another one here. So how do you do it from now? It's actually not that difficult. So I'm going to go to outliner again. I'm going to unfold it. So first thing I want to do is this cluster here. I want to get rid of it, right? So this cluster, I think it's 5. I'm just going to hit delete. It's gone. Then this one, it's a child now of the other one. So I'm going to just hit. I'm going to move it up. I think it's not this one. That one. There it is. Freeze transformations again. Then this should be under spine 5. So I'm going to drag it under there. So this now becomes the child of it. So then we're going to make a new cluster. Oh, not like that. I'm going to make a new cluster. I'm going to select my CV curve, my CV spine here. There it is. Going to shift it, add everything, and going to create a cluster here. So deform cluster. Same one for this one. Again, deform cluster. There you go. So this one here. Again to my outliner. Control spine 1. Holy crap, I don't know what this is, but it looks really bad. Let's find out. We have several clusters here. 5 should be under control spine 5, so I'm going to drag it under 5. And 6 under 6. There you go. So this now controls this part over here. And this part over here. Okay. Splendid. Now let's grab this one again. So let's go to our node editor. Node editor, wrong button. This one. We don't need that one, so I'm going to clear it again. I'm going to grab my controller. this one, and then again my okay, spine. Make sure that my transformations have been frozen. They have been. So again, then rotate Y to the twist like this, and then you get this really nice spine twist, as you see. And still you can now rotate the entire object and then rotate the twist the entire. Let's undo this. So I grab them all and hit rotate, and then maybe twist it in some direction that you want to. Let's do Y again. So you get this really nice weird ass spine twist that should kill a man, but you get the idea. So this is very simple setup. It's not that difficult at all. It just looks pretty. See, and you get this really nice deformation, really nice movement of the spine, which is perfect, which is exactly what we want to have. So done. Let's grab these, let's put them on the controllers, and they're gone. Perfect. Okay. So let's start parroting everything together, because this is now a separate. Part. The legs are still separate. The clavicles are still separate. So we need to combine everything into a single rig. It's not that difficult again. So you do child and then parent and then hit P on the keyboard. But you need to do it in proper fashion. So the arm is the parent of the clavicle, right? So I'm gonna select my arm, then hit P, or sorry, child. Parent P, right? So then this should be named as well. I get this set up now. It's now connected. So again, here is all P. Okay, and then we grab this one here, and we want this one to be connected towards this one here, right? So when we actually move the chest, that the clavicle moves with it. You can also do it on the neck. That's fine as well. But then when you move your head, you move your clavicles as well, which sounds really painful, so let's not do that. So child, parent, P, same here, child, parent, P. Let's unhide the controls. Now when we rotate this one, the clavicles should move as well. See? Everything moves except for the actual arms, which is fine. And then again the legs as well, so again leg, and then P, and again leg, P. Splendid. Okay. You can actually start moving the character now, as you can see. But this time it's still this one, which is not really that great. I'm gonna change it in a little bit, but yeah, you get the character that's now dancing. Let's create a giant controller that actually controls the entire pelvis area. So again, I'm gonna do the same thing as we did before. I'm gonna create a giant star. I'm gonna grab my curve tool again, and again I'm gonna just make a simple. Oh, I should turn on snap to grid. Curve tool. Like this. I'm gonna make sure that's actually close. I'm gonna go to our modeling and then curves. So where is it again? Open, close, like this. Then the vertices. Shrink them down, something like this maybe, like that. And just make it bigger. Let's freeze this. Let's align this center pivot and just make it bigger. Of course, you can add more points to it if you want to. Oh, let's turn off. You can also use a different form of controller. I mean, whatever you prefer. It's that simple. So let's align it with the spine. Let's make it a little bit smaller, like this. So this will control the actual. Make sure that you can actually see it when the character is visible. Barely. So let's make it bigger. Bigger, bigger, bigger. There it is. Okay, this will work. Freeze transformations. So modify freeze transformations. Let's call this control pelvis. Okay. So I want this one to control this one. I just want to use this one for the actual rotation. So I'm going to grab this one, that one. I'm going to hit animation, constraint, and parent. So anything this one does as well. You can actually see here, these controls are now linked to this one. And this one now creates, it uses that one. I mean, you don't even need this controller, to be honest, but yeah. It just looks pretty. So now this controller controls everything. Except for the arms and the feet. fine, because you can still move them. So now the well, the way it is now, the hands are now the parent of the world, and not the parent of this object over here. But that's something pretty different. That we'll do something sometime else, because it's a little bit more complicated than it sounds, right? So okay. Now what I kind of want to have though is that I can raise my clavicle, then everything else moves with it without destroying the actual arms itself, right? So we can make a controller for that controls the rotation of our clavicle, like this, or a little bit easier. So we can make something that looks like a circle, maybe. Let's create a circle, maybe like this, for example. Let's rotate it, something low, not like that, something like this maybe. Let's place it somewhere in the middle, as at first align it with the clavicle. But this looks stupid, right? When you have double of them, this will look really stupid. So I kind of want to move it somewhere else. I kind of want to move it to here, so it's a little bit more obvious. There you go. So now when I would rotate this one, the clavicle would move up and down. That means that we have to change the pivot point. So I'm going to hold D and then V and then just move it. We can actually get it to the proper place, would be nice. Oh, not like that. D, let's move it a little bit like this. And then D, V. No, come on. You can do it. There you go. So now the rotation is based around the clavicle itself. Like that. And it's still visible and when the character is actually there. Okay. So this should be the parent of this one, but we can't parent it because then that would destroy this connection here. So we need to do something a little bit differently. In this case you can use a point constraint, because it just does like this. So you can use the parent and then child and then just hit the rigging constraint point will probably work. Let's see if it actually does work. It doesn't. Probably orient then. Yep, there it goes. See? Let's name this control left clavicle. Like this. I forgot to freeze transformations. That's why I should do it first. Undo, undo, undo. There you go. Freeze transformations. Let's call this control again. Left clavicle. Let's duplicate it straight away. Might as well do it. Duplicate input graph. Copy parent. Minus X. Done. Let's move it slightly towards the left. And plop. There you go. Then this should be right clavicle. Okay, so let's do this again. Again, let's hit freeze transformations, both of them, just to be sure, just to be safe. So parent, child, or what it's going to affect, and then orient constraint. There you go. Same here. Orient. Be sure that you can test it. There you go. Okay. What you can do as well is that you can actually parent the hand or point constraint the hand towards this one, so that if this one moves, the hand will move as well. What you can also do is just make a switch. That means that you can change the parent itself, but it's something we'll do next time because it's a little bit more complicated than it sounds. So I'm going to leave it for now, just the way it is. So we've got this controller here that controls the pelvis. You can also make one more. I'm just going to make it into a circle. Big circle. Maybe snap the grid so it's centered. There you go. Let's set it to 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. This would be our master controller, which means that this controls everything, so you can move the entire character. You can also shape this one if you want to. You can add a bit more funky shapes to it, like for example like this, or like a square would be cool maybe, or a nice thingy, whatever. So think about the actual shapes, what you want to use. I mean, you don't have to, of course, but it just looks cool. Maybe let's add 12 sections in here, so you get a bit more points. Then you can create something like this, or like this maybe. Oh, this is cool. Then that's pretty cool. Let's add object modes. Oh, let's unhide everything. Make sure that actually something like this maybe, and then freeze transformations. Control is called a master, so this controls everything, right? So this is the main parent, and everything should be parented under it. So child parent P. So we can still move the legs, if I don't fuck it up at least. So there you go. And when I move this one, now the foot moves as well. So again, same thing here. Child parent P. Same for the arms. So this one, P. Let's test. So I grab this one, move the entire character. Yep, child parent P. So now everything should move except for the parts here. P. Let's test it. Perfect. You can even scale it. It will fuck up, but yeah. So now this mouse control controls the entire character, and the controls here can still be used individually without fucking everything up. So, although these two should probably be parented toward this one, so I'm gonna do this again. But I'm gonna show you that next time on how to clean everything up. So we're almost done. And put it like that, almost done. Next time we're gonna do the eyes setup, and we're gonna clean everything up so it's perfect. And then we're gonna start adding muscle joints, which will help us with deforming, for example, the arms and the shoulder area. So that was it for today, and I hope I'll see you guys again next time.